Hi, this is Arango, and today I would like to show you how to make a low poly guy inside of Blender 2.77. So let's get started. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe or other 3D programs. Also, while you're in here, I recommend you go to add-ons and put a check mark where you see it says 3D view colon 3D navigation. Then scroll all the way down and then put a check mark right here where it says user interface colon pi menus official. Okay, when you first come into Blender, you'll see this cube. This is what we're going to be using to form into our low poly guy. If you look over here, this right here is a navigation tab. I'll click this, and basically in Blender you can fairly easily manipulate your view using these buttons right here. Okay, when you first come into Blender, you are in object mode. In object mode, most of the time you'll move objects around, entire objects. To manipulate and change objects like this cube, what you need to do is go to edit mode. So we'll click here and then go to edit mode. Here in edit mode, what we can do is we can manipulate this object by moving vertices, edges, as well as faces. We can select vertices, edges, and faces here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to click here to go to front view. If you look here, you can see which view mode you're in. We're in front perspective mode, which means we're looking at the front of this object, but we're not looking at it totally straight on. And what we want to do is look at it kind of or totally straight on like a blueprint mode. And what that's called is that's called orthographic mode. So if you look here where it says view perspective slash ortho, when we click this button, we can switch from the front perspective into the front orthographic mode. So we're going to click here, and now you can see this says front ortho, standing for front orthographic view. Okay, what's useful about this view is because we're looking straight at this object, it's very easy to set it up to put a mirror modifier on it. When you look and see this grid, most of the time that is a fairly easy way to see that you're in orthographic view. What we want to do with this cube now is we want to put what's called a mirror modifier on here. The reason why we want to do that, and you'll typically do that when you're modeling things in Blender or other 3D programs, is because by splitting this object in half, what we can do is basically get rid of this half and then put this thing that I mentioned called a mirror modifier on. And what that will do is whatever we do to this side, it will basically copy on that side. So this is kind of like real geometry, and this is virtual geometry in a sense. Long story short, what that does is that cuts down our workload to essentially half. Okay, when I said this was virtual geometry, what I meant to say was is that after we apply the mirror modifier on here, go through that whole process, that this will be virtual geometry. It's not virtual geometry yet. Anyway, what we're going to do now is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press S to scale and then press Z to scale along the Z axis. It's one of the cool things in Blender is we see these preview lines to show us how we're going to scale. Or, typically when you do something in Blender, Blender will show you a preview like, okay, this is kind of about what's going to happen. And it'll show you that by showing you some kind of preview line. Anyway, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. I'm just doing that so I can see the thickness of this. I'm now going to press S to scale on the Y axis. Then I'm going to left click to lock in. Now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn back towards the front. Now what we're going to do is press and hold Shift, then press D, and then left click to lock in. And then I'm just going to pull this to the side here. I'm going to now take this manipulator and push this down. The manipulator is, this object right here that we're using to move this around. I'm then going to press S to scale on the X axis. And you can see there's the preview line. So we're scaling this down. Essentially, we're making a leg right here. I'm going to push this over into position right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to take a look. We don't want this quite as thick, so we're going to press S to scale on the Y axis. There's our preview line, and we're just going to, push this in some like that, and then left click to lock that in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn back towards the front. The reason why we did this now before we put the mirror modifier on here is because it's just easier. So you'll see that once we set this up for the mirror modifier and put it on, this leg will automatically be copied over to this side right here, which is very cool. Okay, what we're going to do now is click right here to go to front view. I'm then going to hover my mouse here. I'm then going to hold control. Then while holding control, press the R key. And you can see there's our preview line right there. I'm going to left click once, then left click a second time to lock that loop cut in. Okay, what we're going to do now is click here to go to front view. I'm then going to hover my mouse over the square right here, our cube. I'm going to press and hold control, then press R. I'm going to put a loop cut right here. I'm going to left click once, then left click a second time to totally lock that in. I'm then going to press Z and then select wireframe. The reason why we came into wireframe is we want to select all of the faces right here, the front faces as well as the side as well as the back. So I'm going to press A to deselect. We're currently on vertices select. I'm then going to go to face select. Okay, what we're going to do now is hover our mouse about here. I'm going to press B for box select. I'm then going to left click and drag. And you want to bring the selection a little bit past the center line there. I'm going to let go. Then I'm going to press X to bring up the delete menu. I'm then going to choose faces to delete. Okay, with the origin point right here directly in the center, what we want to do is hover our mouse here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and drag to the side. You're looking for this wrench looking button right here. I'm going to left click this. I'm then going to click here to add a modifier, and then I'm going to go and select the mirror modifier. Okay, we can see here's our virtual geometry that's made from our mirror modifier right here. What we want to do now is click right here so that this geometry looks like our actual geometry. Then you want to put a check mark right here. If I hover here and drag this to the side, you can see this is clipping. When you put a check mark here, what that does is that keeps this actual geometry from pulling apart from this virtual geometry right there. Okay, now with that done, we're going to press Z, then we're going to go to solid view. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. This grid is slightly distracting to me, so I'm going to press N to bring up our properties panel. I'm going to scroll down, look for display. I'm going to click here. Then I'm going to take away this check mark next to grid floor, which takes away the grid floor there. I'm then going to press N to take away the properties panel. Okay, what we're going to do now is hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. We're still on face select. We want to select right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view again. I'm going to press E to extrude and then left click to lock in. What we did was we just created new geometry on the bottom of here. And because we created that new geometry, we can push down and basically just push that geometry out right there. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. I'm going to hold shift, then press B. Then I'm going to draw a zoom box right here. I'm then going to hold control, hold the middle mouse button to zoom back just a little. I'm going to click here to select this face. We're currently on face select. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view slightly. I'm then going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. We just created new geometry, so I'm going to take this manipulator and push that new geometry out like that. Okay, now with that done, we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to go to vertices select. I'm going to click here first. Now I'm going to hold shift. So while holding shift, I'm going to click here. So now I'm letting go of shift. Now I'm going to press and hold Alt. And then while holding Alt, press M. That brings up our merge menu. I'm then going to choose at last. I'm then going to click here first. Now I'm holding shift, still holding shift, and then I'm clicking here. Now I'm letting go of shift, then holding Alt. And then while holding Alt, pressing M to bring up our merge menu. Then I'm going to choose at last. Okay, now I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold the control button. While holding control, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to zoom back some. I'm going to hover my mouse here. I'm going to hold control. Then while holding control, I'm going to press R. There's our preview line. I'm going to left click and drag down slightly. Then I'm going to left click again to lock that in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold control. Then while holding control, press R, putting another loop cut here. And I clicked one time. Because I clicked one time, I have the ability to drag that loop cut. So now I'm going to pull that loop cut down to about here. Then I'm going to left click again to totally lock that loop cut in. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, rotate to the side. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hover my mouse right here. I'm going to hold Control, and then while holding Control, press R. See, there's our loop cut preview. However, it's just a preview, so when I move it, I can adjust the preview. I'm now going to left click to lock that loop cut in. Because I left clicked, it's still movable. However, I don't want to move it, so I left click a second time to totally lock that loop cut in. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect. I wanted these loop cuts done in that particular order just because that's how I wanted it, not because they had to be in that order, but it turns out we do need a loop cut right here. So I'm going to hold Control, then while holding Control, press R. You can see our preview line right there. Now if I move up, you can see there's the loop cut, adjusting itself, and that's what I want. So I'm going to left click once. Because I left clicked once, it's movable. I'm going to left click a second time. Now it's totally locked in. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. I'm then going to press and hold Shift. Then while holding Shift, I'm going to press B. I'm going to then draw a zoom box right here. And then with vertices select on, what we're going to do is click here and then hold Shift. And then while holding Shift, click here as well as here. Okay, now we're going to hold Alt, and then while holding Alt, press M. This brings up our merge menu. We are then going to select at center to merge all of those vertices together. Okay, now we're going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold them in the mouse button to rotate the view. Then I'm going to click here, hold Shift. While holding Shift, click here as well as here. I'm then going to hold Alt. Then while holding Alt, press M. This brings up our merge menu. I'm then going to select Add Center to merge those vertices as well. Then I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, what I'm going to do now is hold Control and then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm now going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold Control and the middle mouse button to pan back some more. I'm now going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, now we're going to hover our mouse here. I'm going to press and hold Control, then press R. That puts our preview line for our loop cut. I'm going to roll the mouse one time and then roll it one more time, then left click once and then left click a second time to totally lock those loop cuts in. Okay, now I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to change from vertices select to face select. I'm then going to click here. I'm going to hold Control, then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm going to push this down just slightly, and I'm going to let go. And then I'm going to press, and I just let go to the left mouse button on my mouse. I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to click here to go to Edge Select. I'm going to hold Alt and then select right here. Because I was holding Alt, I was able to select this entire edge loop going around this part of the mesh. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm about to rip this edge loop basically from this part of the mesh, right? When I first learned how to do this, this used to slightly confuse me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the V key, right? Now, if I hover my mouse right here, which is above this line, and I press V, then the line will be separated and connected at this point to my mouse. So if I pull it up, then basically the line will go up here, right? If I have the mouse underneath this line and press V, then I can pull down and this part, will come down. So anyway, with this selected, I'm going to press V, and then I'm going to left click to lock in, and that should have basically separated this edge loop from this part of the mesh right here. So I'm going to take the manipulator and push down, and it did. So I'm holding the middle mouse button just to look around, and it looks good. Okay, when I did that, there's now basically a hole right here. So what we're going to do is, this is our mirror modifier option. When we click this eye, we can make the mirror modifier appear to be on or off. So we're going to temporarily click this so it, temporarily turns off the visibility of our mirror modifier. Okay, the reason why we did that was so we could just work with this geometry a little bit easier. I'm going to hold them in the mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to hold Shift, then while holding Shift, press B. I'm then going to draw a zoom box right here. We already have these edges selected here. So what we're going to do is press F to fill that geometry in. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to hold Alt, and then we're still on edge select. So I'm holding Alt. Now I'm selecting this edge. Because I was holding Alt, we selected that entire edge loop going around there. So now I'm going to press F to just fill that geometry in. Okay, we're going to click this eye to turn our mirror modifier back on. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to hold Control and then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. Okay, now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, rotate the view. I'm going to hold Control as well as holding the middle mouse button to zoom back some more. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan up some. I'm going to hover here, right? Well, first I'm going to go from edge select to face select. I'm going to hover here. And then while hovering here, I'm going to press the L key. When you press the L key and you're hovering over a piece of a mesh, you can select that entire mesh. I want these legs to be shortened slightly. So I'm going to press S to scale on the Z axis like this. Then I'm going to left click to lock that in. And then I'm going to pull them up some like that. I'm now going to click here to go to front view. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is press Z to go to wireframe mode. We're then going to hover our mouse about here. We're on face select for our geometry selection options. I'm going to press B for box select. Then I'm going to drag my selection to about here. And then with this selection selected, or all the faces selected there, I'm then going to press Z and then go back to solid view. I'm then going to press and hold Shift, and then while holding Shift, press D to duplicate that geometry. I'm then going to left click to lock in that selection. I'm then going to pull to the side like this, then take the manipulator and push this geometry up into place about here. I'm then going to push over a little bit like that. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I am going to go to edge select. I'm going to hold Shift and press B. So I held Shift, and while holding Shift I press B. That enables me to draw the zoom box here. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan the view. I'm then going to hold Alt, select this edge right here. Because I held Alt, I selected that entire edge loop. I now want to fill in this geometry quickly and fairly easily. So I'm going to hold Control. Then while holding Control, press F. This brings up our faces menu. I'm then going to go to grid fill right here. And what that did was that filled in the geometry here so that it matches up with the geometry here. If we had just grabbed this edge and pressed F, we would have filled this up, but we wouldn't have had this extra edge loop here. So that's just a small time-saving option there. So I'm going to press A to then deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is hover our mouse here, hold Control, then while holding Control, press R. Then that we put a loop cut right here. I'm going to left click once to lock in, left click a second time to totally lock in. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to go to face select. I'm going to click here, hold Shift, then click here. I'm going to hold Control, then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press E to extrude, then left click to lock in. I'm then going to take the manipulator to push this geometry out about like that. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold the mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to press and hold Shift, then press B. Then draw a zoom box to zoom in here with face select on. I'm going to click here. I'm then going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. I'm then going to press S to scale. Then left click to lock that in. I'm then going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, and then push this new geometry out right here. I want these fingers to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to press A to deselect. We still have face select on, so I'm going to click here. And then while holding Shift, I'm going to click here. Make that just a little bit longer like that. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, as far as all of that fast clicking and selecting you saw right there, basically when you select a face and you press E to extrude, you'll see that preview line showing you how you can extrude out. I tend to like to left click to, instead of extruding the new geometry that is made from pressing the extrude button, I like to left click to lock in the geometry into its place, and then I like to select the manipulator and then push that new geometry to where I want it to be at. So I'm going to hold Control and then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to go to edge select. I'm then going to click this edge right here. I'm then going to take the manipulator and pull that edge up like that. I'm then going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view back towards the front. I'm then going to hold control and then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm now going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, I'm now going to go to face select. I'm going to click right here. I'm then going to press and hold shift, then press D, then left click to lock in. I'm then going to pull up some. And now what I'm going to do is press E to extrude, left click to lock in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. We have new geometry right there. So I'm going to take the manipulator and pull up some. I'm going to hold shift in the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold control in the middle mouse button to zoom back some. I'm going to pull up some a little bit more. Now what I'm going to do is hover my mouse here, press L to select this geometry, and then I'm going to push in some. When I push in some, the reason why the head looks like it's scaling in is because of the mirror modifier. So I'm basically pushing into the mirror modifier. So in a way, it acts kind of like a scale. So with this geometry here selected, I'm going to press S to scale, just to shrink that down some. I'm going to take the manipulator and push that down, something like that. Just holding the middle mouse button just to take a look. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hold shift, and then while holding shift, I'm going to press B. I'm then going to draw a zoom box right here. I'm then going to hold shift and hold the middle mouse button to pan. I'm then going to hold control and then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back some. Okay, what I'm going to do now is hover my mouse here. I'm going to hold control, then while holding control, press R to put a loop cut in. I'm going to left click once, because I only left click once, I can drag this loop cut down some more. I'm then going to left click a second time to totally lock that loop cut in. Okay, I want to straighten this loop cut out, so I'm going to press S to scale on the Z axis 0, and then left click to lock that in. It's just a technique that straightens out loop cuts as far as when you're trying to straighten something out, thinking of the loop cut is going up and down, if that makes sense. With this edge selected, I'm going to hold control, then while holding control, I'm going to press B. And then I'm going to pull to the side some. Then I'm going to left click to lock that in. And what I just did was when I pressed Control B, I activated the bevel command. And the bevel command basically, it takes an edge loop and it splits it into two edge loops, basically. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. We're going to make sure we still have edge select on, which we do. I'm going to hold Alt. I'm then going to select this edge right here. I'm then going to press S to scale that edge in something like that. I'm then going to left click to lock that scale in. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect now. I'm going to hold control, then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back some. I'm going to hold shift the middle mouse button to pan. Now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, what we're going to do now is hover our mouse here. I'm going to press and hold control, then press R to put a loop cut in. I'm going to left click one time. Because I left clicked one time, I can move this loop cut. So I'm going to move this loop cut in to about here. I'm then going to left click a second time to totally lock that loop cut in. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to then click here to go to face select. I'm going to click here. I'm then going to press E to extrude. I'm then going to left click to lock in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to take the manipulator and push down to about there. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to go to edge select. I'm then going to click here. Just going to push slightly forward right here. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to front view. I'm going to hold control, then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. We're currently on edge select, which is what we want. This joint is a little low here, so what we're going to do is press Z, then go to wireframe mode. Then I'm going to hover my mouse right here, and then I'm going to press B for box select, and select all of the edges of that joint right there. Then I'm going to take the manipulator and just pull this up some, about to there. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to do the same thing here. I'm going to press B for box select. Then I'm going to grab right here and then pull those joints up a little bit. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, now I'm going to press Z and then go back to solid view. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and take a look. Okay, what we're going to do now is click here to go to face select. I'm going to hover here, then press L. I am then going to take the manipulator and left click and hold and then drag up just a little bit. Then I'm going to let go of the left click button and I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, what I'm going to do now is hover my mouse here. I'm going to hold control, then while holding control, press R. That put a loop cut preview in. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel one time and then left click once and then left click a second time to totally lock those loop cuts in. I'm then going to press A to deselect those loop cuts. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. I wanted to make this tutorial because I had found a bunch of time-lapse videos showing how to make low poly characters. The best one that I found was YouTuber Hyden's, which is how I learned how to make this. However, what I couldn't find was a narrated step-by-step video that took you through making a low poly character. I also figured this would be good for beginners to Blender, as they could go through making this character and actually have a character to use for different scenes or whatever they would want to use it with. Also, I figure you could add details to this character fairly easily. This character kind of reminded me of old action figures back in the day. They were called Stiffkas. They were very customizable. And this character, the way it's modular, the way the shapes are, it seems like it would be very easy to make new things for it, and actually even fun to make like different pieces of armor and different pieces of equipment for it. Okay guys, for those of you who like the videos on this channel and reshare them, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And to those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel and you would like to see more, please subscribe. Also, if you look to your upper right hand corner, if you click on that button, that'll take you to another button where if you click on that button, you can support this channel with a donation of any amount, and a donation of any amount would just help me to be motivated to make more tutorials. It would also help in actually making more tutorials, as it would give me more time, and it would just be greatly appreciated. As always guys, thanks for viewing.